I remember a great man used to say, another one. Maybe he's not the greatest man, but you get the point. And I think Troy Weaver lives by that motto, because whenever I'm thinking, oh, let's give the Detroit Pistons videos a little rest for a while, he just goes bang and hits you with another trade, this time trading away Svi Mikhailuk and a 7th grader, who's not even going to be a good 7th grader, because what people are missing is, oh, it's a second round pick from 2027. We're going to be the best team in the league in 2027. Are you kidding? I don't think it's even a debate that we're going to be the best team in the NBA in 2027. So you're giving up the 60th overall pick and Svi Mikhailuk for Hamidou Diallo, who's having a breakout season in OKC, looking like a really promising young player, dunked over Shaq, dunk contest winner. Is he following the same trajectory of Jeremy Grant, following Troy Weaver back to Detroit now, like Jeremy Grant? Is this going to be the story where he turns into a 25-point per game scorer as well? Let's not get too carried away, but it just looks like a good deal, doesn't it? I don't think it's robbery like some people might believe, because Svi Mikhailuk fits the Thunder, but in terms of just on a talent basis, Hamidou Diallo is a more talented NBA player than Svi Mikhailuk, no questions really asked. Now, I'm a little bit sweaty if you're wondering, because I was chasing a huntsman around the house, the size of my hands, which wasn't exactly fun, but that's the kind of things you have to deal with in this environment. You see a huntsman pretty much once every week, and it's not the best thing, but I guess you got to deal with it. If you were wondering that, which you probably weren't, but I thought I'd just let you know anyway. But yeah, getting back to the trade, actually, before I get back to the trade, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, it's free. It would be much appreciated. It just helps out a lot. I make content like this every single day. And if you're a Pistons fan, I make Pistons content a lot, even when I try not to for a little while. Troy Weaver decides to make a trade like once every week. So there's pretty much always Pistons content on the channel. So I think that might interest you. But getting back to Diallo, like I mentioned, without question, he's a better player than Svi Mikhailuk with a lot higher upside. And I don't think Svi's a bad player. And despite his numbers looking pretty terrible in the season, he started the season terribly. He wasn't getting enough minutes to kind of find his role. And recently, since he's got more minutes consistently, and since he's got more consistent shots, he's looked more like this Svi Mikhailuk of old, which is like a 40% shooter on 8 to 9 points a game, which is a good NBA player. He'll be able to find 20 minutes a night on most teams for probably 8 to 10 years in the league. I just see him being that kind of guy. Diallo, on the other hand, has got better every single year. He's got elite athleticism. He's got defensive potential. He's got scoring potential. He's gone from a 6.9 point per game scorer to close to 12 points per game. He had a stretch just a while back where he scored double digits about 11 or 12 times in a row. And just in general, over the last 20 or so games, he's just scored the ball really well and more efficiently than ever before. So Diallo just makes sense for a team looking to rebuild. And from the Thunder's perspective, which I know most Pistons fans who are probably watching the video don't care, but for the Thunder perspective, if there is the odd Thunder fan, Svi Mikhailuk makes a lot of sense. Diallo is a restricted free agent coming up, and he might require a bit of money. Svi, the Thunder have terrible spacing, I think the worst in the league, so they need a shooter around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They've got their backcourt of the future. And when I see Diallo, I think, look at Svi and just think, is he going to fit into the team that the Pistons are trying to build? You've got Killian Hayes, he's already shored up position. You've got Saben Lee, I think he's already shored up at least minutes in the rotation as a backup point guard. Maybe Dennis Smith Jr. as well. Delon Wright will probably get moved on just because there's just not going to be enough space for him, even though he's been really solid. And then at the shooting guard position, Josh Jackson's having a good season. Wayne Ellington is somehow still on the roster, which probably won't be for too much longer. And more importantly, looking a little bit further ahead, if we get a top 3 draft pick or something, you've got the likes of Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham, who are 1s and 2s. If you have Killian Hayes kind of interchangeable at the 2, at least when it comes to Cunningham, Jalen Green more of a 2, you've got some kind of guys that could come in and make a huge difference. I just don't think Svi is a major part of the future. He's going to be a solid role player, but Svi's the kind of guy that you can find other places. Let's be honest. He's just the kind of guy that you can find other places. I mean, Wayne Ellington's a prime example. Is there much difference between Svi Mikhailuk and Wayne Ellington apart from a few inches, and maybe Svi's a slightly better defender? Like, those are the kind of guys you can find pretty easily. Diallo, on the other hand, maybe he doesn't turn out to be what he could be, but what he could be is someone better than 12 points a game, someone who could get to 17, 18 points a game because he's an explosive scorer, an explosive athlete. He attacks the rim really, really well and consistently, which is what I like. He's not a good shooter, which we'll get into in a bit. He can't shoot the ball. But what he does is he gets to the free throw line and he attacks the rim. He knows his strengths and he goes to his strengths. A lot of players seem to just kind of try to do things that are out of their depth. No, he's got a good field goal percentage because he's not trying to do too much. He's trying to attack the rim. He's cutting off the ball. He's getting to the right spots. He's dunking as he does. He's a slasher. He's an aggressive player getting to the rim. And although his shooting is an issue, which we may as well talk about now, what we do know at the very least is he's someone who can attack the rim consistently. He's a pretty energetic defender with upside on that end, given his athleticism and given he can stay locked in for a period of a game. Shooting wise, yeah, he's not shooting the ball well. He does remind me of a Josh Jackson. I think there are some similarities there. And what it does suggest to me is those two might be fighting for a spot come next year. Not that they won't be on an NBA team, which they will be, but just to see who's going to be more fit for the Pistons roster, because I see similar kind of roles for them. Both guys who can attack the rim, pretty energetic, athletic defenders with a bit of upside still to come, considering they're still pretty young in age. I see those two as pretty similar. So I think Josh Jackson and Hamidou Diallo might be fighting for a spot. At least that's how I see it at the moment. They just seem like similar kind of players. And again, like you're giving up Svi Mykhailiuk and the 60th overall pick because we're going to be the best team in the league at that point in time. And it's like 7 years down the line. It's pretty much a straight swap. If you don't get anything out of Diallo, if he turns out that he just isn't that good, or he turns out that he signed somewhere else for too much money, that's fine. It doesn't really matter in the end. It's just another move from Troy Weaver, which suggests he likes the potential of high upside guys like your Josh Jackson. He likes athleticism on this roster. That's what we're trying to build out. A team with a lot of athletic, high motor, high upside guys. Josh Jackson, Jeremy Grant, and Isaiah Stewart, Hamidou Diallo. All of these guys are really athletic kind of people that still have upside as well to grow into. So I like what he's doing. It's just another move where it's like, okay, if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't, but the potential is there. And like I mentioned, he's definitely a better player at this point in his career than Svi Mykhailiuk. Hamidou Diallo, on the other hand, could have the potential to be maybe a Jeremy Grant 2.0. He needs to fix his shooting, but we've seen players fix their shooting. It's not something that's just kind of an unattainable goal. He's shooting 30% from 3, 60% from the free throw line. It's not good numbers, but if you all of a sudden push that up to 35 and 70, I know it's optimistic, but like it could happen. He's improved every aspect of his game apart from his shooting, which has still gone up a little bit, I believe. It hasn't gone up too much. So if he can improve every other aspect of his game, he's become a better playmaker, a better scorer at the rim, a more aggressive player, a better defender, more locked in, more consistent. He's done all of those things. So who's to say his shooting can't be next? It's got to the point in time where it's time, as Pistons fans, that we just cross our fingers, we pray, you do what you need to do, whatever you believe in, whatever you need to do, to hope that Cade Cunningham gets to Detroit. Yes, it's all well and good to say Hamidou Diallo is going to be a good fit, which I think he is, and I think he's got upside to be a better player and a better fit than Svi Mykhailiuk, but if you've seen what Cade Cunningham is doing, I'm not watching the game, so I'm not going to lie to you, but everything I'm hearing is this guy is doing things really, really good, like he's that kind of guy. He's a generational player. Maybe not a generational, but like he's a franchise player. So if Cade Cunningham can somehow get to Detroit and to not go to a team like Minnesota, we've had how many first overall picks? 3 in the last like 10 years? Come on now. Give us 1. We haven't moved up in the draft ever. So if we could get Cade Cunningham, even Jalen Green, I'll take him as well. We're seeing these kind of guys really establish themselves. As Detroit Pistons fans, that's what's most exciting. Sorry to hijack the Hamidou Diallo hype train, but it's got to be said that Cade Cunningham, I saw some of Jalen Green, he looks great as well. Those two are going to be great prospects if we can get one of the two. Even Evan Mobley, who's looked fantastic as well. Isaiah Stewart, although he's just a better version of him, beefier. Isaiah Stewart's showing off range. Have we seen that consistently now? He's showing that he can hit a little face-up jumper. He did several against the Knicks recently in the game that we just had before. He hit a 3. He hit a face-up jumper. He just looks better by the game. Saddiq Bey is just Saddiq Bey. He's consistent. Killian Hayes is coming back. Thought I'd just give you a little update on those things because I like to do that. In terms of my thoughts on the trade, it's a B to an A for me because you just look at it. You didn't lose anything. Svi Mykhailiuk, I don't think he's really a huge plus on the team. He's solid. You brought in Hamidou Diallo, who could have really good potential. Like, he's improved drastically from last year, which we shouldn't underrate because he came out of college, I'm pretty sure, as a very raw prospect, and he's shown that every single year he's got better. If he can become a consistent three-point shooter like Jeremy Grant now is, then he could genuinely be a really good NBA player. That's something that I just don't think you could say the same about Svi Mykhailiuk. I think it's just a B to an A for me. There's nothing to lose. If he walks, he walks, but in the end, you could be getting a steal on your hands, and that's what I really like from Troy Weaver. It's like, let's just go for it. We already know what we've got in our sights. That's someone like Cade Cunningham. That's someone like Jalen Green. We've got Isaiah Stewart. We've got Saddiq Bey. We've got Killian Hayes, Jeremy Grant. We've got the foundation set. So let's swing on a few guys like Dennis Smith Jr., like Hamidou Diallo, guys that might not pan out, but might turn out to be really, really solid. I just really like what Troy Weaver's doing. It's exactly how I'd go about a rebuild, and he's doing a great job of it. So shout out to Mr. Weaver. You're doing fantastically. Also, quickly on the Jeremy Grant trade rumors to the Celtics, I think they offered 4 first-round picks is what I've heard. They're going to be like 25th to 30th picks. Just look at the Celtics, for example. They've had several first-round picks over the last few years, and you look at how many have panned out. Like Peyton Pritchard, Robert Williams are like the 2 best ones they've had, apart from obviously the 2 Jays, which are top 5 picks. But you look at the guys like later in the draft, they're just not getting huge picks from that. You got Jeremy Grant, who's already like an all-star level player. He plays both ways. He wants to be in Detroit. He wants to be in Detroit. It would be a bit of a slap in the face, and you got to consider what other free agents will see. They see, oh, this guy wanted to go to Detroit. He chose a team like Denver over Detroit, and then they still traded him after he's having an all-star level season. That doesn't exactly say good things about the franchise. So you want to show some kind of loyalty to your player who showed loyalty to you in the first place. I just don't see the point. Forced first-round picks sound really nice, but when you actually get down to it and you think they're going to be 25s to 30s, we've already got players that are established role players on this team that are young. Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes are a part of our future. Sekou Doumbouya is probably going to be a part of our future. Jeremy Grant, and then we're going to have a top pick in this draft, and all of a sudden, that's 5 or 6 players that are already going to be in the rotation. Then you add in Saban Lee. Then you add in guys like Hamidou Diallo, Josh Jackson. I'm missing a couple of players probably. All of a sudden, where's the spots for these guys that are 28th to 30th in the draft? I just don't see the point of it. It doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. Unless you're getting something substantially good, I just think it's kind of like, nah, I'm not taking that. We're at the moment where we can kind of really propel ourselves forward if we get a top pick this year, where we could be good. Not great, like good to the point where we're still rebuilding, but we're like getting good, and then in a couple of years we could be really solid. So I just don't see how this just puts us back. It's not great. So just on the Jeremy Grant rumors, they make no sense. Don't do that. Apart from that, have a good day. Hamidou Diallo trade was a win, as always, for Troy Weaver. He's taking dubs. You know how we do it around here in Detroit. Well, I'm not in Detroit, but you get the point. Have a good day.